I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine being trapped in a prison, not a prison with walls, not a prison with guards, not a prison with locked doors. Imagine a prison so sophisticated that you don't even know you are inside it. You wake up there, you live there, you make decisions there, you build relationships there, you pursue goals there, you experience victories there, you experience failures there, and yet you never question the boundaries because you cannot see them. Most people assume prisons are physical, but some of the most powerful prisons in human history have been psychological. Not because somebody physically restrains people, because somebody influenced how people interpreted reality. And once interpretation is controlled, behavior often follows. That is what makes this conversation important, because the prison we are discussing today is not made of steel, it is made of assumptions, stories, interpretations, mental models, conclusions, beliefs. And the frightening thing is that many of those beliefs feel completely normal. They feel reasonable, they feel obvious, which is precisely why they are difficult to see. Most people think freedom means being able to go wherever they want, do whatever they want, say whatever they want. But there's another kind of freedom that receives far less attention: the freedom to see clearly, the freedom to question your own assumptions, the freedom to examine the stories running your life. Because if those stories are inaccurate, your choices will be inaccurate too. And eventually, your life begins reflecting perspectives you never challenged. Let's start with something simple. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to interpret the same problems in different forms? Different relationship, same conflict, different job, same frustration, different city, same dissatisfaction, different opportunity, same self sabotage. The scenario changes, the pattern remains. Why? Many people assume it is bad luck. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes the person has carried the same perspective into every new environment. The location changed, the lens did not. And the lens kept producing similar outcomes. This is one of the hardest truths to accept. Sometimes the problem is not merely what is happening around us. Sometimes the problem is how we are seeing what is happening around us. That does not mean circumstances don't matter. They do. Life can be unfair. People can be cruel. Systems can be broken. Challenges can be real. But perspective still matters because perspective determines response. And response shapes trajectory. Two people can face the same storm. One is destroyed by it, the other is developed by it. The storm matters. The interpretation matters too. Now, let me be careful. This conversation is not about blaming people for their struggles. Far too many people have experienced genuine hardship, real loss, real betrayal, real disappointment, real pain. This is not about pretending those things don't exist. It is about understanding that pain often leaves behind perspectives. And sometimes those perspectives remain long after the event has ended. A person experiences rejection. The rejection hurts. That is understandable. But eventually they stop saying, I was rejected, and start saying, I am rejectable. Do you see the difference? One is an experience, the other is an identity. A person experiences failure. Eventually, they stop saying, I failed, and start saying, I'm a failure. Again, the event becomes identity. The experience becomes perspective. The perspective becomes a prison. And once the prison is established, the person begins interpreting everything through it. Every challenge becomes proof. Every setback becomes confirmation. Every disappointment becomes evidence. The prison strengthens itself, not because it is true, because it is familiar. One of the most dangerous things a human being can do is mistake a temporary experience for a permanent truth. Yet people do it every day. A difficult season becomes a life sentence. A painful moment becomes a worldview. A disappointment becomes an identity. And eventually the person forgets where the conclusion came from. They simply live inside it. I think one of the greatest skills a human being can develop is the ability to separate events from interpretations, because people confuse the two. Something happens, then a story is attached to what happened. After enough time passes, they can no longer tell the difference. The story feels like reality, but reality and interpretation are not the same thing. You lose a job, that's an event. The interpretation might be, I will never succeed. That's not the event, that is the story. Someone leaves a relationship, that is an event. The interpretation might be, no one will ever love me. That's not the event, that is the story. A business fails, that is an event. The interpretation might be, I am not capable. Again, that is the story. And stories are powerful because human beings live according to the stories they believe, not necessarily the stories that are true, the stories they believe. Which brings us to something most people never examine: the narratives they tell themselves. Every person has an internal narrator, a voice interpreting life in real time, explaining events, assigning meaning, creating conclusions. The question is not whether that narrator exists. The question is whether it is accurate. Because many people are living under narratives they have never investigated. Some are carrying stories that originated in childhood, stories formed when they lacked the maturity to interpret events correctly, stories created during pain, stories created during confusion, stories created during fear. And now, years later, those stories continue influencing decisions, not because they are true, because they were never examined. One of the most unsettling realities about human beings is that we can become loyal to narratives that are hurting us, not because we enjoy suffering, because familiarity feels safe, even when familiarity is painful. Think about that. People can become attached to explanations that limit them, attached to identities that diminish them, attached to assumptions that sabotage them, simply because those assumptions have become familiar, and familiar things often feel true. This is why awareness matters, because awareness allows us to step outside the story long enough to examine it. And examination is the beginning of freedom. Now, let's go deeper. There is another prison that many people enter without realizing it, the prison of sanctity. At first, that sounds strange because sanctity feels powerful, sanctity feels confident, sanctity feels stable. But sanctity can become dangerous when it prevents learning. The moment a person becomes absolutely convinced they already understand everything, growth begins slowing down. Curiosity disappears, question disappears, exploration disappears, and eventually reality stops being investigated. It starts being filtered. Everything becomes evidence for what the person already believes. Contradictions are ignored, challenges are dismissed, alternative perspectives are rejected. The prison grows stronger, not because the person lacks intelligence, because sanctity has replaced curiosity. Decline often begins when people become excessively loyal to what they already know. Success can create a kind of blindness. A person becomes so attached to previous understanding that honest self evaluation becomes difficult. This doesn't only happen to individuals, it happens to organizations, communities, institutions, entire societies. Anything can become trapped inside its own sanctity. And when sanctity becomes untouchable, decline often follows because reality keeps moving while perspective remains frozen. Now, here's something even more uncomfortable. Many people spend years trying to improve their lives without ever examining the assumptions driving their decisions. They pursue bigger goals, more money, more recognition, more achievement, more success. And there is nothing inherently wrong with those things. But sometimes people are climbing ladders that are leaning against the wrong wall. Not because the ladder is bad, because the perspective underneath it was never questioned. Imagine spending 20 years chasing something only to discover it was never truly yours. The goal was inherited. The definition of success was inherited. The expectation was inherited. The pressure was inherited. The comparison was inherited. And now you are exhausted trying to satisfy a standard you never consciously choose. This happens more often than people realize. Some people are not living their lives, they are performing expectations. Some are not pursuing purpose, they are pursuing approval. Some are not following conviction, they are following conditioning. And because the conditioning feels normal, it becomes invisible. That is the prison. The inability to distinguish your own voice from all the voices that shaped you. Now, don't misunderstand me. The answer is not rebellion for its own sake. The answer is not rejecting everything you inherited. Some inherited perspectives are wise. Some traditions are valuable. Some lessons deserve preservation. The goal is not rejection, the goal is examination. Because what survives examination becomes stronger. And what cannot survive examination probably shouldn't be governing your life anyway. That is why awareness is so important. Awareness allows us to step back, to observe ourselves, to question our assumptions, to investigate our narratives, to challenge our interpretations, to distinguish facts from stories. And that process changes everything. Because once you see the prison, you are no longer entirely trapped by it. The walls may still exist, but now they are visible. And visibility creates options. You can challenge them, you can test them, you can rethink them, you can outgrow them. But first, you must see them. And that is the difficult part because sin requires honesty, it requires humility, it requires the willingness to admit maybe I don't see everything clearly. Maybe some of my assumptions need examination. Maybe some of my conclusions need revisiting. Maybe some of my perspectives were inherited rather than chosen. That admission is not weakness, it is maturity. In fact, it may be one of the strongest things a human being can do. Because growth begins the moment self-deception ends. Freedom begins the moment unconscious assumptions becomes visible. Transformation begins the moment perspective becomes examinable. So before we finish, I want to leave you with a challenge. Take a piece of paper, write down 3 beliefs you hold strongly about yourself, not about politics, not about society, about yourself. Then ask, where did this belief come from? What event created it? What evidence supports it? What evidence challenges it? Is this a fact? Or is it a story I have repeated long enough that it now feels like a fact? Sit with those questions. Don't rush them because the answers may reveal walls you never knew existed. And if they do, don't be discouraged. That is not the end of the journey. That is the beginning of freedom. In the final episode of this series, we will talk about something many people desperately need, but few people intentionally develop: how to reclaim your sight, how to build a perspective that is consciously chosen rather than unconsciously inherited, how to think clearly in a world competing for your attention, how to see beyond the obvious. Because once you recognize the prison, the next step is learning how to walk out of it. See you soon.